This is Shaun Brown for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Joined today by Hall of Fame promoter, the legendary Frank Warren. Frank, how's things today?
I'm good, thanks, Shaun. What about you?
Ticking over, Frank, ticking over. You did 2 shows last week back to back, Frank. When was the last time you actually did that?
I think maybe if we had where we put a big event together and we couldn't get all the fights on and did an overspill show many years ago.
So you had a lot of guys out last Friday and Saturday. We'll start with Zach Parker, who picked up an impressive win for you in his first fight, fighting under your banner. He is the WBO #1 contender. Obviously, he's going to perhaps have to sit and wait for his world title shot. But your thoughts on his performance and the future for Zach as well?
Well, I hadn't seen a lot of him prior to the fight. I'd heard about him. The first time I seen him in the flesh fighting, and I thought it was a great performance from him. You know, he made a bit of a statement. The guy he fought had never been stopped before, and he'd done it very clinically, and I was pleased for him. So now is to keep him, our job now is to keep him busy. He's obviously #1 in the BO, and in the meantime, Billy Joe Saunders, who's the WBO champion, is fighting Alvarez in May. So we want to make sure Zach gets a couple of fights and then see the outcome of that fight and see how we can push and move to get him, get him in a position to fight for the title.
And also on the show, you had your heavyweight prospect, David Adelaide, who continues to impress, entertain as well. He spoke of a fight potentially against Nathan Gorman. Is that for you realistic in the short term?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look, he's a young man who he's in a hurry to go places. I mean, unfortunately, we lost his original opponent, and thankfully had someone who had previously had a COVID test, and we got him in as a late replacement. But I mean, the guy had, he made his debut. David's had 4 fights. That was his 5th fight, and what he did in style. But it was being honest and not being disrespectful to his opponent. He didn't test him or anything. He took his lumps and went very early. So, I don't want him in fights like that. I want him in fights where he's gradually learning his craft. I know he's a puncher. I want guys who are going to get a little bit more out of him. And that's what will happen. He's had a great preparation in the last 18 months or so. He's been in sparring camps with Tyson Fury. I know he's been in with AJ and various other fighters. I think he may have been in with Chisora.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great for him, but he's still, as a pro, he's a novice, and it's going to take time. And he probably won't like me saying that. It's going to take time, and we'll just keep him busy. And then when he's right and ready to go, then we'll see if he's ready. But he's not ready. He may feel he's ready, but I know he's not ready yet for a Nathan Gorman, who, by the way, looked really good on the night.
Yeah.
Good performance.
And speaking of Nathan, do you expect him to get another British title shot this year?
Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely get a title fight this year, whatever it may be. Though, I'm going to work very hard. He had a bit of time out after his loss to Daniel Dubois, and I think, as he said himself, he sort of basically fell out of love with boxing. Now he's got his hunger back and he's fallen back in love with it. He's looking good. I'd like to see him lose a bit more weight. But having said that, you don't have to be carved out of marble to be a great fighter. I'll go back to those heavyweights, the sort of, the 70s and 80s. Yeah. Some of those guys carried a bit of bulk on them, and they were good. And they were very, very, very competent fighters. One thing he's got is, he's very deceptive for a guy, of his size, how fast his hands are. He's got great hand speed, and his footwork's really good. And he's done an excellent job, as I mentioned, over the weekend. So I was pleased with him, and I want to get him in the title fight, and I'll be speaking to him later today as regarding what we're getting mapped out for him.
And Brad Foster, he continues to be one of the feel-good stories of British boxing.
Well, when you think of it, zero amateur
Yeah.
experience, and he's won a Lonsdale belt and a Commonwealth title fight. So he's had about 14, 15 fights now. I'm not sure the exact amount.
Yeah.
15 fights. That's a bit of a that's a bit of a feat, really, when you think about it. No experience, and it's gone under the radar as to what he's done. But it was his first foreign opponent, you know, and for me, he boxed really well, boxed very, very capable, and I think with, you know, in time, I think he's going to. I think he's got a good chance of going on to some bigger and better things. He's done everything that's been asked of him.
Yeah.
He always finds the way to do it and get through it and win, and he does it in style. And I was quite pleased with him.
And I know, having spoke to you in the past, that you've always had high hopes for Dennis McCann. He now has 8 fights under his belt. He's been back out. 2021, is it a big push, or is it still baby steps?
I think, you know, we'll step him up his next fight. What I was pleased with, that he's got the devil in him. You know, as an amateur, came in, I think it was 17 knockouts on the spin. Came in and he was stopping guys. He fought his last fight on, over the weekend, Friday. He fought very controlled. He worked on his jab. He just boxed really well. It was a very good boxing exhibition, and he got the rounds under his belt, and I was pleased for that. I want to find somebody who's going to press him a bit more next time, and I'm sure he'll start. I want to see him again. You know, he could have stopped that fella on Saturday. If he stepped it up a little bit more, certainly would have stopped him. But, you know, and he hurt him a couple of times. But to say, I want to step him up. But all what he's doing now, he's getting experience from. It's great experience, and he's only 20 years of age. He's a baby. He's still a baby. He's got a way to go yet. But I think he'll be fighting for a title this year, definitely.
What did you make of the fight between Danny Ball and Sam Gilly?
It was a good fight, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was the right result. I thought he won it at the end of the day. You know, Ball, I thought he'd done well. But it was a very competitive fight, very, very competitive fight, and I quite enjoyed it.
And those two, I mean, are they going to feature on your shows again soon?
Yeah, of course we will, and get, you know, absolutely get them out again. You know, when hopefully Wilbur gets the crowds back in the summer, you know, they would have appreciated a fight like that if you had a live audience there. I mean, no one took a step back, did they? They gave everything, the pair of them. I thought it was an excellent fight to watch. I really did enjoy it.
Saturday sprang an upset that no one really predicted. First off, how is Willy Hutchinson?
He's obviously very, very, very disappointed. I haven't spoken to him, to be quite. I spoke to Shelley Finkel, his manager, and I spoke to Dominic Ingle, his trainer. I haven't had a chance to speak with him yet. He's disappointed. I was shocked, to be quite honest, the way it ended. Look, Lennox is with us. He's signed a contract with us. He's with us, and I'm delighted. And by the way, he took his opportunity there, being an underdog. Everybody made him an underdog, except for himself. And he went in there and upset the odds, and he done it in great style. You know, that was a really good combination that ended the fight. And now it's his moment. So we'll be obviously pushing him. It's another good fight from Queensbury. We put our guys together to deliver a good fight. Well, Boxing Border Control made it, but we didn't pull anybody out. We made the fight happen. But having said that, I think I thought, you know, as the fight started, the first round it was pretty even. Second round, Willie turned it on a bit. He put some nice shots together, and then Lennox got back into it in the third and fourth, and obviously did what he did when he stopped him. But if Willie has got anything about him, he's going to come back from this. You know, that was a bit of a stoppage, and we're seeing now what he's made of. You know, a lot of guys. It's funny, you get these fights and things happen like this. It can be the end of somebody's career. Before the fight, as I said, everybody made, saying other than Lennox, made Willie the favourite. And people, I see some of this stuff on you know, with some of the fans. They sort of like look like we're favouring someone or whatever. It's not a question. If you ask me a question, you say to me, "Who do I fancy?" If I sit on the fence, I'm damned. Guy's sitting on his fence, he can't make up his mind. If I say what I think, then I'm then it's wrong. I only give what my opinion is. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes, like everybody, we get it wrong. But Lennox, brilliant what he did. For him, brilliant. He will go on now, and we'll make sure he's got some big fights coming.
And could you possibly see, just as what happened really with Dubois and Joyce, there's obviously talk of that fight happening again at some point in the future. I know when you spoke about it after the fight, you fancied that happening again. Could you see something similar between Hutchinson and Clark next year?
Look, Willy's going to have to fight himself back into contention to get that fight. So we'll see. On the strength of I'm being cold-blooded about it. Looking at it, he doesn't deserve a rematch on the strength of that, because it was quite a,
of course
it was an emphatic win for Lennox. So he's got to get himself back into contention to get that opportunity. Regarding you mentioned, you're talking about Joe and Daniel. The fight ended in a pretty controversial way, in as much that he couldn't get out his eye because of the good work, by the way, that Joe did, is using his jab, but he was ahead on the cards. So I could watch that fight again. Yeah. I'd like to see that fight. I'm sure the fans would like to see it again, because it was quite a good fight up until the way it ended. But in the meantime, Joe, it's all about winners. The winner goes on. The winner's going on to hopefully for a bigger fight.
I noticed during BT Sports broadcast that they put together a kind of short promo which featured some of your top prospects, and that was obviously guys like Bentley, McCann, Hutchinson too. But there's one that's maybe flying under the radar as well, Mark Chamberlain. He continues to go from strength to strength, and he potentially looks like someone who could go further than maybe many expected to start with.
I think he is somebody who's going to do it. I mean, that was a very emphatic stoppage, wasn't it? That when he threw the shot, it's a funny thing, when the audience, we've got no crowd there. I mean, did you hear him scream as he got caught? It really hurt him.
Yeah.
And I thought, I like Mark. The thing is with these promos, it's very difficult, because we've got a lot of youngsters on our books, and you can't have a promo featuring 30 fighters.
Yeah.
So what happens is they pick out the fighters that they're going to, who they feel they want to go with. We give them a bit of advice, and in the end of the day, you reach a compromise. But there's not just Mark. There's a few other guys that we'll be doing special promos on. And obviously one of them there will be Lennox. That's how it'll be.
Do you think, it seems to me that Mark might be ready for a sort of Hutchinson type step up?
I think he is. I mean, I'd like to see a couple more fights, because obviously it's been a difficult year for everybody. Yeah. The last 12 months have been difficult for everybody. I think give him a couple more fights, then put him into something quite serious. I mean, to be fair, the fight before last, he said to me, I want to be stepped up. I don't want to be fighting these guys. He stopped somebody quite emphatically. I'm not sure these stats are right. I think he's had like his last 5 opponents, they've been on the floor 9 times between them. So he can whack. He's a good fighter, and and I like his attitude. He's got a great attitude. All he does is want to fight.
Now you've got some interesting potential fights that could happen at light heavyweight now. We've got with you Arthur, Johnson and Yard. I know from reading that Johnson and Yard are going to be back out on the Bentley Cash show. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
And I would assume that from those 3 men, you'd be looking to make some sort of trifling tournament.
Well, look, we're blessed with the light heavyweights we've got, and they're going to have to step up. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And I make no secrets. No one can accuse Queensberry of not putting fighters in with each other. We do what we feel is best to deliver a good show for the fans and some value. And that's what we want to do. And there's no reason these guys shouldn't fight each other. We've already made. We already made Lyndon against Anthony Yard. We already did that. So there's no reason we shouldn't do it again.
Yeah. And there was obviously news announced last week that Sonny Edwards gets his long-awaited world title shot against the very experienced Mthalane. It may seem like an obvious thing to ask, but you must feel ready for Sonny and very confident as well that he's going to make that step up.
Well, I hope he can. It's a tough fight. I mean, he's no slouch who he's fighting. No. He's a very, very good fighter. He's got a win over Tete as well. So it's a tough fight for Sonny, but Sonny's at that stage in his career now where you keep giving him fights, marking time fights. It's not going to get the best out of him. He's got a great boxing brain. He's a great mover, and I think these are the fights that are going to get. This fight will get the best out of it. And you know, it's in the UK, so we've done everything we can to ensure that he gets the right that he gets his opportunity, and that's what will happen.
And just one more thing to speak about, Frank. You made the Bentley Cash fight, which for me personally is just one that I can't wait for. For many, it's a 50-50, and you can see why, but it feels like a proper Queensbury fight night with that headline as well. A proper trade dust-up, you know?
It's a great fight. Great fight. You know, I was very worried at one time that Cash was going to be pulled out by his trainer because he said he was going to do that, but thankfully he hasn't. So we got a really good fight. Denzel is looking, well, he's been the success story, I think, in the last 12 months. He's gone from strength to strength, and I think, you know, this is a good time for him, and hopefully he will do the business on the night from our perspective. We obviously want him to win. So that's a cracking fight, and we won the purse bids, got behind our man, and let's hope that's going to be the case. I mean, Queensbury's got some good fights coming up over the next few, well, certainly this, you know, next month. We got this Saturday. You've got Carl Frampton in, so hopefully, you know, hopefully he'll do the business. Tough fight, but hopefully he'll come through. Got Liam out there, Liam Williams out there with Andrade. Tough fight, but I think he's got. Mind you, having said what I said about Willie, I don't want to block him, but I think he's got an excellent chance of beating Andrade. I think he's got the tools to do it. And then obviously Sonny. So we got three good world title fights for our fighters. So I'm delighted with them. But that one, you know, the Denzel's fight and Felix, that's going to be a cracker, no doubt about it. Lost, you know, I was unaware when I won the purse bid. I didn't know that what had gone on in the past with them. I didn't realise they had such a history between them, both inside and outside the ring. So it'll be interesting.
Great. All right, Frank. Listen, thanks very much for your time. Have a nice day, and thanks for speaking to Boxing Social.
Lovely. Thank you, Shaun. You stay well, mate, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye,
cheers.